Hey, you guys, it's me, Kara T, and we are back with another video.
What's up, guys?
um,
Go ahead, kick it off.
okay, so earlier today we were on the rooftop here at our resort, and I asked my husband, I said, hey, do you think all men are worthy of submission? And he immediately kind of inflated, and I was just like, and asked me too where I got this question from. Where is this coming from? And so I was like, yeah, this video popped up on YouTube that I was kind of tuning into.
Yes, and her algorithm, fellas.
Yeah, and it was mid video, and like at the very beginning of it, I paused it and I just decided to have the conversation with my husband because it was a man speaking. And so I asked him, and so we started to have a conversation. And I told him that my position on it was that I feel like because of a man's birthright, basically him being born as a man, he deserves respect and he deserves to be submitted to. However, I feel strongly that until a man actually gets to a point where he is a real man, he is not worthy of submission. And so, and an example of that for me is that if I would have married anyone other than my husband, me submitting to some of those other men could have led to me naturally not respecting or submitting to that man if I didn't respect him as someone and see him and deem him as a leader, someone who could be trusted, someone who is responsible, and someone who was actually equipped not only to lead me, but was worthy of my submission, if that makes sense. Because I know people who are married and they don't submit to their husbands because their husbands aren't really, I guess, worthy of submission. That's the way it comes off.
And that was literally the stupidest thing I've heard part of this whole European trip.
Please elaborate.
It was literally the most profound, dumbest thing I've heard in this whole Europe.
Please explain.
This is like the top of it. Quick question, ladies. Who's the fault? The man that you don't respect, or the person that actually married the man that you don't respect?
True.
Because at the end of the day, you knew you didn't respect him before you married him.
And yeah, because they don't just appear over time.
And here's how you convince yourself otherwise. Actually, a couple things, and let's really dive into it. Definitely for these girls out here in their mid 30s. Let's really dive into it.
Okay, mid 30 call out.
All right, and up. Let's really dive into it. You sitting back at home, because I'm not gonna really get into what Boosie said, but Instagram kind of have leveled the playing field for both men and women. And y'all seeing the competition just as much as the men seeing the competition.
Wait, let's go into that. Competition for who and what way?
I mean, there's no sense of like denying these thirst traps on Instagram.
Okay, I see
what that does, and we ain't gonna deny these Bentleys and Lamborghinis that y'all seeing on this Instagram. We ain't gonna deny it. And when you sitting back looking at it, and if you have any type of insecurity about yourself, you sitting in and looking at your life and you seeing where you at, and then you end up settling for something that you don't want, and you feeling that you can grow to respect that person based off the potential, the consensus. Based off the consensus of that this is enough for me. You know, and then you sabotage the marriage before it even started because of your ego. Because if you was any other type of woman and you had a better situation, whatever you perceive what better looks like to you, then you would have never married that person. But then you go into a relationship and deal with this dude, and then you start disrespecting him. So, because you don't feel that he's worthy of respect. But this definitely goes out to you Bible thumpers. You want to sit out here and talk about a man is worthy of respect, and you married that man, and you still don't respect him. As the kids say in the Bible, where they do that at?
The Bible says that?
Where the Bible say you don't respect a man in marriage?
Oh, no, the Bible don't say that.
That's your role.
Yeah.
And I feel that every man don't deserve to be married. I think there's some checks and balances that goes into that equation. I would never call him a boy, because after a certain age, ain't no such thing as no boy. You a man. But at the end of the day, certain men develop a little bit slower than others due to circumstances. And I think it's very circumstantial. See, the thing is and I'm going to specifically speak for our community. Man, we have a tendency to not look at the full scope before we start placing judgment. And the hypocrisy about it is, we talk about God, but God is the only bestower of judgment. And then we flip it and say we Christ-like. But Christ didn't have judgment.
It was righteous judgment. He definitely judged. That's the reason he flipped over the tables in the synagogues or in the temple. Where did he flip them over at? I think
no, judges, this is your fate.
Oh, like a final ruling.
A final ruling. That's judgment. That's what the judge does. This is the final ruling.
Well, when he was hanging on the cross and in between them two crooks,
he said,
I see
God,
you in paradise.
He said, I'll see you in paradise, but that's not a final judgment.
That is a final call. That was confirming that those two men he was going to see them where he was going.
That is true. He would see them, but that's not saying that is your judgment. When you say your judgment, this is saying this is what you're sentenced to be.
Well, a judge makes a final verdict, but sometimes a judge can rule in your favor.
That is true. But my thing is, in not to get biblical and continue to go down that road, no human on this planet deserves to make judgment.
Yeah.
Because we all plagued with sin. So my thing is that who are you to make judgment? Because if you was to rewind my past, even over a year ago, I wasn't where I'm at, nowhere near where I'm at now. And then if you go a year before that, I wasn't in another place that I ended up being the following year. You see what I'm saying? Everybody has journeys. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has their own path. So there's no shame in but under any means, there is nothing worthy of disrespect. Nothing. And nothing on this planet says to another person, and I'm adamant about that, is that no one on this planet is worth disrespect. And that goes for both genders.
So question, is it more of condemnation or like judgment or shunning of the actual act of disrespect? Or is it more so shining the light on the judgment to begin with? Because judgment is what leads to disrespect. Because whatever you're judging, you're ultimately...
Yeah, the judgment of it all and the hypocrisy of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even looking at the full scope. Definitely Black Americans. Like, it's not even looking at the full scope in the cards that we were dealt. Definitely Black men. And definitely Black women. But definitely Black men. Because they pander more towards Black women than they do to Black men. And that's the obvious. Because at the end of the day, they'll take us out the household and empower y'all to go around here with this, I ain't gonna say what it is, but the right to independence. And I think that the women should have the right to independence. But not at the downplaying of the man in the household.
Yeah, like it's at the expense of the family.
Like,
Black
oh,
family.
we independent. I'm independent. I don't need you. Well, where they do that at? I mean, I want to know, like, what part of this world that we didn't create that women don't benefit from? Like, what's up? The very I'm betting dollars on it.
Ooh.
Majority of the things that's being utilized, we created that. And in retrospect, the ancestors, black people, majority, black men. So my thing is that, like, you know, I look at it like, you know, both. That's interesting. Yeah.
I feel like the baby's like spinning in my belly these days.
My thing is I feel that everybody deserves respect in marriage.
Because if that one component was actually present, it would reduce the divorce rate. Would you say?
100%.
Respect alone, both ways.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I believe that before marriage happens, I mean, it's risking any person that you, it's risking any person that you choose to marry. So you can't negate the risk factor out of it, but you can set certain things that you look for and make a wise decision. And that doesn't mean that checklist is a standard checklist for every girl on the planet or every guy on the planet. Ain't no standard checklist. This is what you deem and what you view love to be. You know what I mean? My wife always said she wasn't looking for riches and all these type of things. That wasn't her thing. But the consensus will say every girl is looking to be swept off their feet.
But see, to me, you can be swept off your feet but that doesn't always require money.
Exactly, and that's the narrative. And so listen, capitalism has a way of showing itself. You know, we are who we are, and I mean, depending on what country you're from, you have the creed that you operated by since birth, even if you didn't know it or not. So you fed a lot of things that you feel that it should be the way it is, but it's all stories. It's all stories, and who's to say that you can't create your own narrative? Because the way we came into our marriage, and we haven't discussed that publicly yet, but the way that we came into our marriage, on the flip side of it, our baby is kicking inside of her stomach right now in Venice. Like, let's be clear. So it's, you know, everything is subjective.
And all things change.
Definitely all things change.
Like, most things are circumstantial in life. Where you start is not where you finish or where you end. And
that's where faith comes in, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I don't get caught up in part-time faith. You have faith on Sundays and you start saying, you know, like, and you doing crazy things on Wednesday, right? Like, and faith is meant to be tested. If you won't marry whoever and I'm speaking specifically to women, if you're gonna marry the guy that you're gonna marry or the spouse that you choose to follow, then you need to have faith in that person's leadership.
Yeah.
And not passe faith. Like, you can't be sitting up here talking about, yeah, man, I believe in God and I believe all of this. You believe in something that you actually never seen in your life. There is not one thing, artifact out there, maybe, that says a lot of things in the Bible was fact.
We know it based on faith.
But specifically New Testament. So my thing is that you going out here because you was told this since you was a child, and you believing in it with so much conviction because it's God. And I get it. But God moves through people. God made us, right?
In his image.
In his image. So how you not going to have faith in the fellow person? So if you have faith, if you choose whoever you choose to marry, and you respect their leadership, then do it 100%. And that's the hard part, because that's when you have to exercise real faith, because every question doesn't come answered right away.
Yeah.
That's when you actually have some real faith. And the guys out there that's kind of growing and doing all that, I'm gonna tell you something to go back to the girls before we get to the guys. Don't look at the guy. The guy in front of you will say something. My mentor used to always tell me. They used to say, man, guys used to come to him and say, man, I love you, big bro. I love you, big bro. He said, and he used to do parties, and he'll say, man, what's that not? He said, I know you love me. What there not to love? You get money. You come to my parties, you surround around girls, you get to come to the party for free. You get to drink for free. You go out to eat with me for free. I'm easy to love.
Yeah.
So girls don't go out there sending yourself off when you get with a certain type of individual that's easy to love.
It's about those tough times.
Because trust me, no matter how good the grass may be green in the beginning, when y'all start laying with each other every night, them Giuseppe dresses ain't gonna keep you warm. Them Balenciagas and trust me, man, the best things in life are not free. And the second ones is very expensive. But the thing is, that first one is a real thing. So don't sit up there because you get a good guy, a great guy that does great for himself. And just because he's easy to love up front, that's going to be like that on the back end. Because that type of stuff fades. Now, getting to the guys, I would say, man, be sure of yourself. Understand who you are before you get into a marriage. And this to kind of close out this conversation, because it comes back to that respect. In order to demand respect, you have to feel to yourself that you're worthy of it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Because no matter what position you in life, if you get married, you get respect. No matter where you at. And you demand it and you believe in yourself.
Would you say that it's just as important that a woman marries the man that she knows she does respect, as it is that he is sure that she will give him the respect that he deserves and feels worthy of?
Say that again.
Would you say that it's important for a woman not only pick and marry a man that she does respect and she knows that she will respect, and she can even grow and evolve more into it, meaning that it'll just become even more obvious and things like that, but also that it's contingent upon a man to assure and make sure that the woman he's marrying is also confident of the respect that she'll have based on how she handles arguments, based on how she's willing to compromise, based on whether or not she uses profanity towards him, or ideally how her tone is when she speaks to him. Both basically, I'm saying, would you agree that both partners are 100% accountable equally to make sure that joining together in that union will last and sustain the test of time?
Listen, guys ain't got to worry about that, because it ain't biblical for guys to worry about the respect, because we have to love you. You see what I'm saying? And that love already it encompasses so much more than respect. And we got to love you like Christ loved the church. So in the Bible, it don't say women got to do that. It says you got to respect.
Right. That is the woman's role in the Bible in marriage.
Right. So so when it comes to us, it's different, because no matter what you do, we got to be. Yo, I'm gonna tell y'all something. It was on Homeland when when the CIA agent was having this dude escorted to meet with him, and he didn't get off at the exit he was supposed to get off at, and he went to another exit, and when the CIA dude found out about it, he tried to do whatever he could to stop it. And what he did, he shot somebody, and then he shot the nanny, and then went in there to the girl that he was coming after. He stabbed her in the throat to death. And when he got caught, blah, 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 fast forward.
He didn't even run. He stayed there.
He said, now take me to Saul. And when Saul went in there and said, why did you do that? He said, because she was my wife. And if we was in any other country, I would have stoned her to death. With that being said, and that's harsh because that's biblical. In other religions,
that's Old Testament for sure.
And in other religions, some say that still stands. And definitely, if you travel, and you will find out to that to be true, because what we talking about right here on this platform for the last 20 minutes, I promise you, you can erase these past 20 minutes. You ain't got to say none of this for certain countries. They already know.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, when it comes to the respect from a woman, that is the perfect way to close it out. Go to some other countries and find out what respect from another woman looks like to a man. And find out the consequences if the woman steps out of line and do otherwise. And then you will see what respect really looks like. So if you ever question yourself, do your research. And before you start saying they do that over there, well, the very God that you worship wrote it in his book as well. And that's all I gotta say.
All right, and that is the conversation that we were having earlier prior to us shooting this video, and points well taken from him. He's very passionate about that, and he can back it because it is scriptural. He is right. We didn't give any actual addresses, so to speak, based on where you can find these scriptures in the Bible, but Google it. It's definitely in the Bible where it does talk about respect. A woman's role, a woman's supposed to be fruitful. She's supposed to multiply, to replenish the earth. And a woman is also to respect her husband. So yeah, that was a question I asked, and that was kind of how the conversation went off camera, and we brought it here on camera to you guys. But with that being said, if you have any questions or any comments, definitely leave them down below. Let us know what you think. He has a very strong position on it, and this is definitely something that I think could be considered controversial, because these days women have a strong issue with the word submission. It's almost like they feel like they are entrapped almost to some end. But when you have an understanding of what submission is, and you further understand who God is and who God has called women to be, but see, it's 2023. Women are these days all out of whack, which is why a lot of women unfortunately won't marry. So, but that being said, you have anything else to add?
No, just choose wisely. Like if you don't feel that you can respect that person, then don't marry them.
And I was just going to say that. And another thing too that I think is so important is that people take accountability for their choices, because in this day and age, people are choosing poorly and then they're running to the court to sever the tie. But see, that's the thing about covenant with God. Once you're married, you're bound, even in the spirit. Like you're literally kind of joined together as one. You can divorce, sure, but at the end of the day, if the Bible says that you're coming together as one, you're always really going to have a soul tie and be attached to anyone that you were previously married to. So it's so important to pick wisely the first time. And when I say pick wisely the first time, do what I did. Don't pick at all.
Yo.
God sent this man to me. I wasn't looking. I wasn't searching. I was cool. God sent him. And I even told God before we got married, God, if you ain't send this man, get rid of him. The sooner you get rid of him, the better. Send him away. And he was adamant about us being together. And I knew, but based on multiple things, that God was confirming in, over a year into marriage, because we celebrated our 1-year anniversary earlier this week, which is a big part of why we've been touring Europe for 2 weeks. We're on our anniversary / baby moon / last hoorah before we become parents / a bunch of other things.
That was a lot.
Sorry. So yeah, we're doing all that or whatever in honor of our 1-year anniversary. But yeah.
But I was gonna say this
pick
though,
wisely.
ladies.
Let God pick.
Ladies, I was gonna say this too. Don't get confused when I say respect. When we talk about respect and submission as being weak.
No.
Because there is nothing more of a disadvantage that you can do to your partner is by thinking that submission and respect is weak, because the strongest woman bring out the best in men.
Yeah. And see, submission has nothing to do with strength, right? In that
Nah.
regard. You can still be submissive and be strong.
Strong.
Because strong doesn't come as a sense of strong.
Exactly.
It's different.
And I'm going to tell you something. If it wasn't for my wife's strength, I would not be where I'm at. And that's the truth. My wife, this woman that you're looking at right now, is the strongest woman I know on this planet. And now I understand when men talk about their wives and say they wouldn't be wherever they are. Successful men wouldn't be where they are if it wasn't for their wife. And trust me, it wasn't my wife being weak / submissive. No. There's no weak and submission does not correlate. They're two distinct. They're different. Let's make a new adjective. Strong and submissive. And carry that with y'all.
And strong in the sense of, I was saying not strong in the sense of strong and like dominant.
No.
But strong in the sense of
strong in integrity.
Yeah. Standing firm.
Standing firm.
You don't even gotta raise your voice to stand firm.
Because trust me, men definitely in capitalist societies, they bend a little bit when it comes to certain things because they're so addicted to success. So, and I'm gonna speak personally for me. Having a woman with her type of integrity, a wife that doesn't break, made me better. Because no man don't want to show up short for their woman. So sometimes men have to rise up, and a good woman can still be submissive and bring out the best and make a man rise up to a better person. So, ladies, it don't mean being weak. Just be strong, stand firm, demand what you see is better in your partner. Demand it out of them. And see, that is still being strong, and you can still be submissive. And at the end of the day, and you should find out this before you get married, whatever you stand for in this world, if that is interrupted, do not marry that person. And God will be clear with you about that. Yeah. So, until next time, ciao.
Bye.
Corny. I can do something corny from time to time.